Well, Karen, here we are, yet another episode of the Re-Education Camp podcast. And at the time that we are recording this, it is Sunday, December 10th, 2023, the year of our Lord. I moved I have this little advent calendar. It's part of my Christmas decorations.
Yes, yeah.
And it has like a portrait of Mr. and Mrs. Claus sitting in their humble abode having tea or coffee. And there's a little mouse with a bow tie, and you move him from date to date. So he's in the number 10 pocket right now. Do you get what I'm saying? Can you picture this?
I am picturing it, and I'm rather envious because I really want an advent calendar, but I want something I'll be keeping for years. So I'm very selective with my decorations, really with everything I bring into my home. I'm not a minimalist, but I hate crap person. So like I said, I don't like to buy things. I'm not a mindless consumer like they want us to be, like they're trying to get me to be every time I go on Instagram. But yeah, I do. I was just at church this morning and they lit the, I guess the second Advent calendar. I didn't grow up in a church that did the whole Advent thing. And I thought, oh, that's so nice. I would kind of like to have my own little Advent candles at my own house. So it's a fun time of year. It's definitely like,
well, this calendar is like a family heirloom, actually.
Oh, this is.
I think it came from my grandmother's house, actually, or maybe it came from our house. I think everyone in the family had a mouse Advent calendar. Actually, you should just Google that mouse Advent calendar, and it's just like the greatest thing ever. It's my favorite decoration. But yeah, so
real quick, there is something about those like kitsch little decorations that become so popular, and they become very valuable. Like my mom has kind of been getting a lot of she's been adding to her collection of like the plastic figurines that go out in your lawn that light up. Like she has a whole nativity. My brother built her like a nativity, like a what's that called? A manger. Not the manger, but like what's it called where they actually sit? Like the stable. I guess the stable is what you would call it.
Okay.
So my brother built her that. So she has that. She has the reindeer and Santa goes on her porch roof. And she's really collecting it. She likes to have all those nostalgic little Christmas decorations. So she like hunts them down on Facebook Marketplace, but she just wants to be like the fun house, like the house with like, it's not, and we're going to talk about that, not this episode, because we had some really big news, but coming up next week, Colin and I are committed to this. We are going to do an episode all about Christmas, white lights versus colored lights, like all of the different things, Christmas cookies. Tune in next week because that's when we're going to get really, really into the nitty gritty of that. But we had bigger news come out this week. Really some earth-shattering news that took place. It's going to change pretty much the lives of everyone in the United States, maybe the globe. And I would say probably requires a new national holiday. If I were Biden trying to win re-election, I would have instituted one of the days this week. I don't know which day it was exactly, but it should be a new national holiday. So I'm going to have Colin take it away to tell us a little bit more about that.
Are you referencing what I was listening to earlier today?
Oh, no, not
referencing. What are you referencing? I'm not even sure what you're talking about, Karen.
Yeah. Taylor Swift, Person of the Year.
Oh, yes. Taylor Swift is
the new national holiday.
Yes, she is just America's sweetheart and on everyone's mind. And she's dating Travis Kelce. And this is just the most inorganic push of any entity I have ever seen. And this all ties into the 2024 election. I'm telling you, she is going to be used. Well, she already has been used as such a puppet for the DNC, because back in September, all she did was just post an Instagram story urging all of her listeners. I was going to say followers, because really followers is more appropriate because it's a cult.
Yeah,
obviously.
Yes, disciples.
Yes, disciples.
Just get to the disciples. Yeah.
She registered just from an Instagram story, mind you, 35,000 people to register to vote on vote.org. Can you even comprehend the kind of power that is to just post something on social media and you get that many people to sign up to vote? And who do you think they're going to be voting for? What party do you think these people are signing up to vote for? Because she has made it no secret that she hates Trump. She has gone off on unhinged Twitter tirades before, and this is deeply troubling because it's like this celebrity is going to play such a huge factor into the outcome of the 2024 election. This bubblegum pop creation. And like part of me even feels bad when I'm saying this stuff because she is a talented girl. Like I've seen her sit down with an acoustic guitar and sing, and she could play, and she has a decent voice, but there's really nothing that is exceptional about her talent. She's not Prince.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
So have you felt the same way about her just being in the limelight and on everybody's mind 24/7? I mean, part of it's probably because we talk about her so much. It's like I have like this triangle conversation of Taylor Swift dialogue that's constantly going on. It's like it's me, it's you, and my cousin. It's just like we're constantly just like as a joke sending we'll leave each other like audio messages, like singing like Taylor Swift songs, like just really, really horribly. And it's all in good fun and it's all a joke. But it's not going to be such a joke when this woman alters the outcome of the most important election probably in this is probably the most important election in the history of the world, actually. Like in world history, has there ever been a more important election than this one coming up? I don't think so.
Well, yeah, and as you said, it's not necessarily like you said. We talk about Taylor Swift a lot, and it's more like tongue in cheek because she is everywhere. She is so pervasive in our lives. I mean, like I said, like I look at the news for work, and every day it's like, what other story are they going to like print about Taylor Swift and like tell you? And really, I think it's why it's so easy, or you feel so drawn into having an opinion about it, is because all of the messaging is so one-sided. It's as if like everything is telling you like this woman is the best, she's the most exceptional, she's the most talented, she's the greatest songwriter, she's the voice of her generation. And if you have any rejection, and like I feel like a lot of us do, it's like there's 81 million of us do not agree with this. You know, it's kind of like Trump. It's like Trump is trying to bring down democracy. Trump is trying to do this. And you're like, wait a minute, what? Like, that's not how all of us feel. Like, what are you? It's not like there's like these party lines about Taylor Swift that have become, and like I said, we've talked about, yes, Trump is a con man. Yes, he's a liar. Yes, he's a degenerate. But a lot of the things, they make him out to be something that he's not. It's the same with Taylor Swift. Like there's a lot of us who are out there thinking, no, this person is not the voice of my generation. This person is not the greatest songwriter of even this time or even this year or even last year. But all of the messaging that we are that is being put out and we are subjected to is all about how amazing she is. So it's kind of hard not to kind of like wade in the waters and be part of like the conversation about it, because it's everywhere. And I do think in some ways I was a little upset that Time overlooked King Charles, because he has done a lot of work worshiping Satan basically his entire life. being a Luciferian, probably a reptilian.
He's
And
literally related to Count Dracula, like the
yes,
historical
yeah.
Vlad the Impaler, and he lives half the year, I believe, in Count Dracula's castle in Transylvania. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. I mean that literally, that he lives part of the time in Count Dracula's
I
castle
did
in
not know he lived
Transylvania.
in Transylvania. That is actually really interesting. But I'm saying this guy is a top notch Luciferian his entire life, waits forever for his mom to croak. He finally gets declared King of England, which, let's be real, that's the only royal family that anybody gives a crap about anymore. And he gets overlooked by time by Taylor. So I don't, although there
Well,
was, yeah, go ahead. No,
I
that's
was just
fine.
gonna say, like, who's gonna be a more effective puppet of the New World Order? I mean, what's the goal here? The goal here is to
Yeah,
capture the youth,
yeah.
to get the youth to go out and pull that lever for Governor Newsom of California or Michelle Obama.
Yeah, and I have to tell you, I Colin, you were really early on this. Like, let's give Colin his due. He was very early on this. Immediately, you thought this Eras tour, next year's Eras tour, which is kind of weird that she's having a multi-year tour. I thought that was kind of interesting. Like, why is this seeping into 2024? I don't quite understand that, but obviously you were
It's not as
skeptical from
common
the beginning.
anymore. I mean, it's been done, bands and artists having tours that span multiple years, like one single tour, but I feel like it hasn't been done in a while. I don't think it's as common. And yeah, I mean, how many texts have I sent to you privately, Karen, like of Twitter screenshots or Instagram screenshots saying like, "Hey, look at see there she's going to be out there all year just waving the banner for the DNC and getting all the little kiddies to sign up."
But what I have to say is, I think those people were really late to the game. I think you were saying this way before the Time magazine piece. You were saying, wait a minute, this tour is not just a tour. This is a voter registration tour that's being done as, under the guise of a music tour.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I was a little skeptical of your skepticism. And I thought, I don't really know about that. But as you said, that 35,000 people signed up to vote based on a story, which an Instagram story is only active for 24 hours. It's a temporary story. 35,000 people. So can you imagine if you have people being able to register to vote right there at her shows?
Oh, I
And I
think
think,
they'll
like,
have tents set up in the parking lot,
yes, yeah,
honestly. I really do.
I completely
That's
agree
You're
with
going to
you.
see that.
And at first I was a little skeptical about it, but the more I thought about it, it's really the demographics and the audience that Taylor has that really maybe reconsider what you had to say, because they are young people. They are young girls, maybe some young men too, but young, like young. They're on the cusp, maybe of. I mean, really, I know some of them are like older, maybe like late 30s. Obviously,
Oh,
parents
yeah.
too, but she still has a lot of much younger audience members who are coming up, are going to be maybe registering to vote, or maybe eligible to vote for the first time in the 2024 election. So I think you got it. I think you got it. I think you made the right analysis there. And I think people are starting to come to see what you had to say. And I think you're correct. And I think, like you said, I think honestly, I said I think a lot. I apologize for that. But Taylor is more of the useful idiot in this situation. I think she's the pawn in the game for this. I believe that she's a power player most of the time, but I just don't believe she quite understands what a future will look like under that plan,
By
under
the way, I
the
don't think
basically
that she's
socialist plan.
I agree. I don't think that she doesn't, at least she doesn't strike me as a very humble woman either. I'm sorry. Everything that I read and every interview I see, I don't know. To me, there just seems like there's an air of oh, look at me, look at everything I've done, look at how huge I am now, look at the power I have. Look, I mean, just that comment that she made, I can't remember what publication this was in, but they were asking her if she is essentially they were asking her if she is like aware of the scene that she's causing when she shows up to these Chief games to root for Travis Kelce. And she's like, "Oh no, I don't even think about it. I'm just there to support." It's like, bitch, no, you know exactly what you're doing. You're not an idiot. Like, no, you know exactly what you're doing.
Yes, yeah.
But to your point, she doesn't know the future that she's trying to usher in, because I think that she views herself legitimately as the voice of a generation, and she has really cloaked herself in false virtue, which is one of the leading attributes of this generation and her fans. There's a lot of false altruism going around in general these days, and what's the point that I'm trying to make here? She is she's very she's a pawn, yes, but also I feel like she thinks that she is acting in the best interests of humanity.
Actually,
And
absolutely. Humanitarian was the word in my head. Yes,
yes,
humanitarian. Yes, that this is, we are writing a new future that is going to be more humane, more loving, more just a better humanity for America. If America's going, I don't think she quite understands that there in their plan there is no America. I don't know if she understands.
right.
There's no Miss Americana. That's over with. You're Miss Global World Order.
She
Okay,
might
you're,
understand that though, and she might think that
she
that
might be
is
okay with it,
yeah.
but there's a big but in there. Alex Soros.
Oh yeah,
So
he
please explain that to some of the ignorant listeners that might
here's
not
the
know.
thing.
I
I
will
didn't
say
do a
I'm not
ton of
saying
research
ignorant in
into
a rude
this.
way. Okay, okay, you did not do a ton of research. That's
Yeah,
okay. But
no, I'm still
just
partially ignorant
okay.
in regards to what about the layout here. But apparently, Alex Soros owns like her first 6 studio albums or something like that. Like, there is definitely a Soros hand involved in the whole Taylor Swift operation. And what's George Soros's whole MO? It's about the destruction of nation states and the collapse of the dollar and globalization. And well, obviously, somebody as astute and intelligent as George Soros and Alex Soros is going to use. They're going to harness entertainment, bread and circus as a vessel to usher in this brave new world, this new world order. So yeah, Taylor Swift and George Soros, they go together like peanut butter and jelly at this point, I would say.
Yes, but I believe that she's not happy about them owning her first 6 albums. So I'm hoping that maybe
Eh,
Taylor will see the light and realize that the Soroses are her enemy and the
no.
globalists are her enemy. But for now,
She's $1 billion. She's made a
she's a
billion
bit.
dollars from the globalist system, from this anti-human, watered down, sterile. I'm describing her music, by the way. It's very
Yes,
sterile. You can argue that I guess some of her earlier stuff when she was still like sort of a Nashville
human.
country. Yeah. You can argue that there was a more organic feel to it, and she was more. I think she was probably more genuine back then, but I don't know. Like you've said this before, her music essentially sounds like it was created by an algorithm. It's very cold. It's very sterile. It's very. I think when she is performing, by the way, I mean, there's a lot of backing tracks going on. I have no idea how much she is actually singing
Yeah.
throughout the whole performance. I mean, she takes her microphone away and you can hear the vocal track still coming through. Although it's tough to tell because I mean the audience is so loud in these clips that you're seeing. I mean, it really is this has become almost like a dangerous religion. I mean, people think that Scientology is dangerous. I'm here to tell you that the religion of the Swifties is going to have a far greater impact on the makeup of this country, on the outcome on the future of our world than Scientology could have ever
Ever
hoped to
dreamed
have.
of. Yeah. Poor L. Ron Hubbard. He
By the
thought he
way,
was.
I still think about there is a Church of Scientology in the town that I live in, and I've been thinking for the longest time, like, just go in and hear what the pitch is. I'd like, I'm not even opposed to going, the auditing thing that they do, like you hold the little
Yes.
devices. I'm not even opposed to doing that. Like, I don't think they can like funnel Satan through me or anything like that. I'm just really curious what the pitch would be to someone like me, and how soon would they kick me out when they hear I don't have any money.
Yes, true. You're like, well, it works for Tom Cruise, so maybe
Right.
maybe I'll be the next risky business.
Right. That's a great movie, by the way. Like a
That
really
is a
great movie.
that is a
Like
great movie.
like
That is true.
underrated.
Yes.
Like
Is it
that.
underrated, you think?
Yeah, I think it's very
Really?
underrated. Yeah, it's very dark in a way.
Yeah.
It really truly encapsulates a certain vibe from the 80s more than any other movie, in my opinion. So those are just my
Yeah.
thoughts, but I'm very
Yeah.
biased, as you know, being I'm in like
You're a
whatever this.
cruisy.
Yeah,
You're not a
whatever the
Swifty,
Swift.
you're a
Yeah,
cruisy.
yes, I am a cruisy, and I think that the cruisies are more against big pharma, against the poisoning of our people through
Yes. Yeah.
pharmaceutical means. So we have that going for us, at least.
Yeah. Yeah. I completely agree. But you're right. I think also with the whole Swifty situation or the whole Swifty religion, it's in I feel as if it's not just the Swifties, but it's the Disney, it's the Harry Potter, it's the football teams. There's so many different parts of consumption culture in America that people wrap their identity around. It's as if like they don't want to live in their real lives. So they just take on whatever like consumption of music or consumption of football or consumption of whatever it is. And they just kind of make that their identity. And
Yeah, they're not very
yeah,
interested in themselves. They're interested in content, various contents.
yes, yeah. Like you said, like the whole aesthetics and there's just a lot, the Gilmore Girls, or just there's a lot of different
But if you
little
got against the
niche.
Gilmore Girls, I'm just curious.
We'll
One of the
do a whole
most popular
episode.
CW shows of all
We will do
time.
a whole episode about the Gilmore Girls. I hated the Gilmore Girls when it was first on. I thought, oh my God, this show is awful. I hated it from day one. So we should save that for next fall because I feel like Gilmore Girls is like a fall thing, and then
We
we'll
should talk
just
about the WB too. Remember the WB network?
WB,
Some of
yes.
my fondest memories in like life are like growing up, like just like in the summer, laying on the bed on a hot summer day with the with the WB having like showing of like Terminator 2 on in the background. Like those were such simple times. Those are such better times.
I liked watching Pinky and the Brain and
Oh,
Animaniacs.
yes,
But Pinky and the Brain
yes.
was one of the top. But I actually remember in the summer, I don't remember watching WB in the summer. Wait, was WB on basic cable? I think that was a
WB
basic
was Channel
cable.
11.
Yeah,
It was Channel 11.
in the coal region. Yeah, I think we were able to watch. My parents would cancel cable every summer so that we would go outside. And we lived like on a busy road with like a
Huh.
little yard. Like, I don't know,
They
maybe
wanted you
move us
guys to get
somewhere.
hit.
Yeah,
That
you're
was
right.
secretly what it was all about.
That's what it was. They're like, damn, this is too many mouths to feed.
We had too
Maybe
many.
if we send them on the bikes outside on the park, maybe they'll get kidnapped.
Yeah,
So,
like a Hansel and
so
Gretel sort of thing.
instead of going outside, what we would do is just watch PBS. We just watched Bill Nye the Science Guy and Zoom and just like whatever was on PBS. We're like, oh, you guys are gonna cancel cable on us? We're gonna watch PBS all day. So watch this. We'd sit on
What
the
were
couch
they
and be
watching?
lazy.
Like, if they didn't they watch cable?
I guess Seinfeld wasn't on cable, so they're like, we got Seinfeld, we're good. So
Okay.
Yeah, I guess they didn't really watch cable. All they cared about were the sport. I guess really it probably revolved around the Flyers season, like Flyers hockey. So Flyers would come on in the fall and then
Mm,
June would Stanley Cup playoffs. So really probably had nothing to do with us. It was probably just my dad's like, all right, the Flyers are off. I'm not watching the Phillies. Just
yeah.
turn the cable off. So yeah, they claimed also interesting tidbit about some O'Toole folklore. My mom had Channel 29, also known as Music Television, MTV. She would call the cable company and have it blocked. So we did not
Oh.
watch MTV. Yeah.
My mom was a freak about MTV growing up. Like I would always, I was always told growing up, I wasn't allowed to watch two things. Don't watch MTV because that's trash. And do not turn on Howard Stern. Under any circumstances, do not watch Howard Stern. He is the devil. And that's an actual quote from my mom. He is the devil, and she didn't want my mind getting deviled up. There's a lot of devil talk, a lot of
Yes, a
devils
lot
and
of devil.
demons. And really,
You were actually raised by Kathy Bates on The Water Boy.
yeah, foosball is the devil, right? Exactly. And little did she know, I'd be in Howard's studio, like
Yes.
getting a picture with him
Yes.
with my arm around him, like
Yeah,
20
you
years
should make
later.
that your Christmas card and like just send it to your mom.
It'll be 10 years in this January, by the way, that I did that little stint there.
Wow.
Isn't that
Wow.
wild?
Yeah, at least you got to be there before he got TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. At least you
Yeah,
made it
yeah.
in under the wire.
This was a
Yeah.
year before Trump came down the escalator and ruined everyone's lives and upset the
Yes.
balance
Yeah.
of the planet and just screwed
Yeah.
everything up.
The magnetic poles, everything. And
Yeah.
I do have to say you got to meet some amazing, great, wonderful people like Mr. Harvey Weinstein. I mean,
Chelsea Handler.
Kelsey Handler.
Yeah, oh, I met some doozies. Let me tell. No, I met some cool people too. I met folk legend Donovan.
Yeah. Yes, I love Donovan.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
met him.
Atlantis and
Yeah, Donovan was a funny guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was pretty
Was he?
cool.
I love his music. That is so fun that he was there. Well, that's fun. That's cool though, because you get to really doing that internship, you get to meet all these different people, which, like you said, is really
Yeah.
memorable. And yeah, yeah. So of course, thanks to your mom, you disobeyed and you
Oh
watch
yeah.
Howard Stern. Yeah,
I
you're
was
like,
watching the
oh,
strippers on the network. I was watching the Sybian and all the disgusting, essentially pornography that Howard was putting on the air back then.
well, speaking of which, because we didn't watch MTV, did you watch VH1?
Oh, I love VH1. Some of my
So good
fondest
back in the day.
memories. Like,
Yes.
do you remember?
I know what you're going to say. I know what you're going to say. Go ahead and say it.
There's so many things I'm going to say, but number one pop up video. I remember watching
Amazing.
that.
The best.
Top 10 countdown with Amer Halim. I remember him being the
Awesome.
host at the time.
Yes.
And I love the 80s.
I love the 80s.
Ah,
I am telling you right now that I love the 70s. I love the 80s, like all of those compilations that they put together. Taught me more about history than probably my actual education. And I also will say that like that was a big part. I would say that was like part of my formative years was watching all of that. And I feel like you actually did. I would mention things from those shows, and I had like older like coworkers or teachers just like blown away that I knew about these things. And I'm like, I literally only know about it because of VH1. So thank you, VH1, for
yeah.
being part of my childhood and basically raising me, really did a big part.
I'm right there with you. And there was another program that they aired when I was in high school. So this was like, oh, I don't know, 2005, 2006. They had it was the 100 most metal moments, and they would talk about all these different moments from hard rock, heavy metal. They would talk about stuff from Judas Priest and Aerosmith, and it was such a huge part of my musical development. It was how I learned
Musical
about the band.
appreciation.
It was how I learned about the band Stryper. I don't know if you're familiar with the Christian metal band Stryper, Karen.
Okay, yeah,
To Hell with the Devil.
To hell with the
The
devil.
Yellow and Black Attack. You should check them out on Spotify. Striper. You might like them.
Okay. Yeah. Well, like you said, I think that was your music appreciation class. So
Yes.
thank you to VH1. I really have to say I loved VH1 back in the day. And I also need to just mention they had Celebrity Fit Club, which featured one of the loves of my life, Gary Busey. I loved seeing
Yeah.
him on there. And what show was the show? What channel? Was that Comedy Central that had the guy who was the assistant to Gary Busey? Do you remember that? That was just me. I'm
The
the only
guy
one who
who
watched.
was this. Oh,
There was
I
a
know. That
show
was
where
Comedy
the
Central.
guy, yeah, where
It
the guy
was.
had to work with Gary Busey, and it was so good. And that was probably my introduction to Gary Busey. Also, they did, I think it was the first season of that reality show that they had the washed up stars living together. What was that? Like real life or something?
There was a bunch of them like that,
And
honestly.
Tammy Faye Baker was on it, and it was so good. And then I remember watching the beautiful development, this beautiful relationship develop between what's his name? Um Bridgie Nielsen and the guy who wore the clock around his neck, the
Flavor
rapper.
Flav.
Flavor Flav and Bridget Nielsen developed this beautiful relationship on that show. And that was really that like I said, that was a big part of who I am today.
I saw Flavor
I
Flav
know.
outside of a CVS in Las Vegas one time. He was in there buying
Really?
cologne. Yeah.
Oh my, was that the CVS near Paris Hotel?
Karen, I have no idea. This was
Oh, okay, okay.
which specific CVS in Las Vegas
Oh, was
this
it not
at?
on the strip? Was it not on the strip?
I Karen, I can't remember. This was like 10
Okay,
years ago.
okay.
This was
All
10 years
right.
ago. You're asking for way too many
I mean,
specifics.
you should know what CVS you saw Flavor
Yeah,
Flav
you're
at.
right.
I think that's you
I've
should
never
have
been
it
good with
pin dropped in
geography.
your phone.
I've never been that good with geography.
Well, I am going to open up this San Pellegrino. I saw somebody. It was at 50 cents at the Amish, literal Amish market. I was at the one at the smorgasbord. You know what I'm talking about? Shady Maple Smorgasbord.
Oh, I am
I didn't eat
familiar with
there.
Shady
I don't
Maple.
eat there.
I've never eaten there before. I used to work with a girl who would just rave about the breakfast at Shady Maple. So,
Oh, this is a lot of sugar in it. Oh no. I thought it was just like flavored with no sugar. I was like, dang, this is really good San
ooh,
Pellegrino. I'm into this. And then I sip it. I'm like, this is really sweet.
they sneak
That's because
sugar
it
into everything.
that's because it packs 29 grams of sugar in it. Well, I guess
Is it all
it's
natural
packed.
sugar? Is it like
I
from?
highly doubt it.
Is it from fruit?
Let's read the ingredients. Water. It's like literally water, sugar is the second ingredient.
So they just dump like
Comma.
white sugar in there.
Yeah, well, you know.
That's probably the most harmful drug, I think. Sugar out of anything is the drug that I certainly have the strongest addiction to because
Yes.
I was
Yes.
saying yesterday to my aunt because she was showing me how she keeps her bag of Reese's cups in the freezer like I do. And the problem is,
As you should.
well, yeah, that's the only way to eat a Reese's. Number one, you have to keep it in the freezer, but just fair warning: let it thaw out for a good 60 seconds when you bring it out, or else you're going to chip a tooth. But I'll go through the bag in like a couple days. I can't. I'm so screwed up that I can't just stretch them out. My mind is like, oh my God, there's Reese's in the freezer right now. You must eliminate the bag. We have to get through it. We have to get it out of the house. And
You're like the Chinese are coming. You better eat those Reese's before
yes.
they handcuff you and knock down the door. Before the
Yeah.
feds come and arrest you and send you to the January 6th school lock
right.
because you watched it on television. But
Yeah, because you watched a live stream of somebody who was in there, which is what I did. I remember that day very well. I was watching like a live stream of somebody just with their phone, and I couldn't believe what was going on. It was pretty wild.
well, that kind of piggybacks on my experience of January 6th. It was part of my no news time. I was not working because I was like perpetually in the hospital.
Knocking on heaven's door.
Yeah, yeah. I just gotten out of the hospital. I guess it was a 20 January 2021. Yeah, I had spent like 2 weeks in the hospital with sepsis. So it was like a month after that. And my mom called me and she goes, "Oh my goodness, they're like at the Capitol." And I'm like, "All right, well, I'm going to the hometown farmers market. I'll check it." So then I get donuts at the farmers market, and part of my thought was like, I might as well get some extras because if it's the end of the world, the end of the country, and we're going to be at this huge war, I might as well have some extra donuts, right? Like that was
Yeah.
my thinking. Just like you and the Reese's, like I'm like, oh my gosh, like I gotta have a raspberry jelly donut from Plain and Fancy. I gotta have a stash before they come for me, and or before the grid goes down because the MAGA extremists attack the grid.
That's gonna
So I
happen this year, probably.
so I just heard about it from my mom on the phone, and then I get home and I actually like put it on television or like put it on somehow because I don't have cable. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. Like then I kind of was like joking about it. And then I actually put on the visual version of it and was astonished as to what I was watching. I was like, oh my goodness, this is insanity. Like I was just, you had like a visceral reaction to seeing what was actually taking place. So just weird that the National Guard wasn't there. There was no, nobody was, they easily like broke down and opened the barriers for the people. So this isn't a January 6th episode, but we all know Nancy planned it. So next, okay, next, Shadow's here, the
Yeah,
producer.
I was wondering when her little head was gonna poke into the camera here.
There
She's
she
been
is.
sitting on
She
my
well,
lap.
well, she heard about January 6th and she was there
Yeah, yeah,
leading the resistance, she was calling for Mike Pence's head. So
yeah. Yes, Shadow was at the foot of the stairs, just telling everybody, "Swarm, swarm, get them."
yes, find Mike Pence.
Find AOC.
Find
Beg, beg her for food. She's in there. I know she's got food.
She's got ice cream. It was in her freezer.
Right.
But but yeah, so I wanted to talk about how so we basically have decided that Taylor Swift, along with Joe Biden, I guess Gavin Newsom, are going to be bringing about the
Mm-hmm.
globalization in the United States, the end of America as we know it, the globalization, the end of the US dollar, probably the digital dollar, all from her voting drive, which will take place on the Eras tour, because we are basically moving into a new era. Okay. So we're in Miss Americana era, and now we're going to move into Miss New World Order era. So that's why she's moving in the Eras tour to the next year, because she's moving in,
It's a good
she's
point.
ushering America into a new era with no borders and no dollar and no constitution.
What
So
a
get
sad
ready.
thought too, that like the outcome of the election could be decided by some kids, some stupid kids who don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. Pardon my French. Like that's who's going to decide the future of
Yes.
humanity.
Yes, I like always joke
Holy.
around that I'm like, oh, I understand when the founders were like, you've got to be like 25 and own land. I'm like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
now I get it. Like
Yeah, you
now,
get it. You
because
get it
like I
now.
don't even think that I really like I'm joking, and I don't believe that you should have to own land to vote. But a big but there. Like I don't feel like I was like a full grown adult. Like I still don't. I probably shouldn't be allowed to vote, but
I don't think I should
I
either.
didn't think I think like actually owning a home and having those responsibilities really does give you some ownership over like where you live. But there's so many, you could never, obviously owning land is a ridiculous way because it would eliminate so many people across the nation, and we can't have voter tests. But sometimes you think to yourself, like maybe we should, like maybe that wasn't a bad idea. But obviously, like I mean, that's the way we live, and I think a lot of people have said it in the past, and it's always said like once the people realize that they can vote themselves like entitlements, you're pretty much bringing about the end of civilization. It's like too when like people get mad at like the billionaires and like all the wealthy people for voting for people and supporting people who give them like tax cuts. And I'm like, well, aren't all of you like always worried about your Social Security and Medicare? Like, isn't that everybody votes like at the end
Everybody's
of the
voting
day?
based on their own self-interests at the end of the day, right?
Always. Yeah, yeah, absolutely always. And I get it. I know that these aren't they really aren't equal because, I'm not writing a check to Gavin Newsom's campaign for $3 million. Like that's not happening. So obviously they're going to have a lot more undue influence than somebody that's voting for their Social Security benefits for next year. Like they're not the same. But I just think when you're criticizing the wealthy, maybe take a moment to check yourself and like, are you voting for the future of this country? Or are you voting for that like $150 extra a month in your Social Security check? Like, who are you at the end of the day?
I'm
Like, who
voting
are
for a
any of
4 day
us?
work week, and like each day will last 6.5 hours max. I think that that's plenty of time. The world will keep turning. The country will keep
Yes.
turning. Nobody needs to be anywhere for 40 hours a week. That's the most ridiculous, antiquated nonsense I've ever heard of. And you see, this is the socialist part of me
Yes.
coming out. This is the kind of talk that you get accused of being a communist for. But no, there really does need to be some sort of reform in that area, though. Do you think anybody needs to work for 40 hours a week?
Absolutely not. Like, let's go. We need to
Like
move
doing
into
what?
the next era of workers' rights. Yeah. Nothing. And it's crazy when you go to the hospitals. Like, I spent a lot of the time in the hospital, and these nurses are working like 18-hour shifts. I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't want that person bringing my pills in. I don't want them
Right. They're
putting
burnt.
they're like, oh, let's come in. And like they were like literally taking like blood out of my chest. And I'm like, how long have you been here for? And I had this one nurse who was working like round the clock, and she was always trying to get me to get pain meds. She's like, you want some Dilaudid? That stuff's real. I'm like, she's like, are you in pain? I haven't been in pain in weeks.
Say you're
Are
in
you in
pain.
pain? Yeah, you're in pain.
She's like a drug pusher.
It probably on my chart. She probably had me listed for so many pain meds, and I wasn't in pain at all. She
I'd
was
have
probably,
accepted them
yeah.
probably. I'd have been
Yeah.
like, hell yeah, I want some of that Dilaudid. Put on Sergeant Pepper's, in the
Yes.
background. And
Just have a good, I mean, honestly, like that's probably what I should have done because you were like sitting in the hospital. The days were so long. And, instead of doing anything like intelligent, like reading, sometimes I would read a book, but there was just something about it. Like I don't know,
you had
but
access to the best drugs, Karen. The best
I
drug.
know. I should have just
like
been
Hunter
high.
Biden's dream. Like
Hunter Biden
is at your disposal.
Wait, back to Hunter Biden. Hunter 2024. We are still all about Hunter.
Oh yeah.
We know a lot has just come out about all the man knows how to use his finances. He knows how to manage money.
I didn't see anything wrong with how
I
we
didn't
spent
see, yeah.
it, honestly.
Yeah, he got new teeth. Like
He
maybe,
did.
can you imagine Hunter getting up there at the Democratic National Convention? I believe it's going to be in Chicago. And he says, listen, I've been through Chicago, seen a lot of former drug users. They have bad teeth and they need a new smile. And just like me, I'm bringing smiles to America. We're going to pay for new dentures or new, I don't even know what they're called exactly. What are those teeth that his are
Veneers.
Nice. Veneers. Like, we're going to get veneers for all the former drug addicts. If you get yourself clean for a couple of years, like Hunter,
And we're going to legalize all drugs.
Yeah, we're going to legalize all drugs.
We're going
and
to
prostitution.
Yeah. Oh, especially prostitution. Yeah.
Especially prostitution. And everybody gets a Ferrari.
I want a chicken ranch on every corner, and I want a Lamborghini in every garage. That is my American dream.
And veneers for everyone.
Yes, and veneers for everyone. And Hunter Biden is the guy to bring us what we need.
Yes, I agree. I think like if you gave me an honest choice between Hunter and Joe.
Oh, Hunter. Like,
Hunter every time. That's not even, that's not even like,
it's
no
like a
hesitation.
dumb question almost.
Yeah, it's like why even ask? Like I honestly think that should be a poll. Like you know how they do these dumb polls, and they're
Yeah.
like Trump is leading Joe Biden's corpse by 20%.
You have like
They
Van
ask,
Jones on CNN.
yeah,
Hunter Biden is leading his father by an astounding 40% in the
we
latest
polled,
Gallup poll.
yeah, we're like we polled all of the people of Sri Lanka, and they all said that Hunter Biden. You're like, what is this dumb poll that they are doing? It's so funny about polls. Like everybody, I was just talking to somebody who's a big Trump hater, really interested, just a neighbor, a friend of mine. So we were talking about it, and he was saying, like, yeah, like who? I said, he's like, I said to my wife, like, do you answer pollers when they call you, like pollsters when they call you? And she's like, no. And he's like, so who the heck are answering these polls? Like, who are these people? But I don't know. I mean, I will say when I was sick, I did do some polls. I did do some of those like YouGov polls because like you get like points or something. And I was like, oh, I'll get free
Yeah.
Dunkin' Donuts after a while. And I'm like, after like a week of doing it, I'm like, this is gonna take forever. Like I'm sick of answering these polls for
I
this
used to do
Dunkin'
phone
Donuts.
banking back when I was like young and idealistic during the Bernie campaign. I thought we were all gonna, have
You did phone banking
healthcare
for
and
Bernie.
oh yeah, yeah. That was and like the thought of it now almost mortifies me. Like, oh my God, you're calling up like strangers and telling them how they need to vote for this old socialist guy. Like, what the hell are you thinking? Like nobody's but honestly, some people did react positive. A lot of people I remember they would just say, I'm voting for Trump, and they would hang up. And some people
Yeah.
would like stay on the line to have like a dialogue or an intellectual conversation of sorts. But now my view on it is like, what a pointless thing. You're not going to change anybody's mind. You know how hard it is to change somebody's mind or force them, unless you're Taylor Swift, you just post a story and then
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
disciples of the apocalypse go and do whatever you say. But like for the average bloke, you're not convincing anybody to do anything, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Like you said, I think the only thing people are easily swayed about is, like clothing. It's like, or something, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
something to
yeah, yeah.
buy. Oh man, I really want to get that decoration that influencer had. You know what I'm saying? Like that's
I
about
saw
it.
something
That's
cool on Instagram. Actually, you had mentioned. I think you mentioned Instagram.
always.
There's you ever get ads for like little home decor stuff? Like I saw this one
Yeah,
recently.
yeah.
It was like a tree. It's like a light tree. It's like this ambient like a tree of life that has these pleasant LED lights and
Did they change
uh,
colors?
no, they're just white. They're just white. They just give off like a nice ambiance, and I'm actually thinking about ordering it. And this was just like an ad I saw on Instagram. So
I get really bizarre ads sometimes and I like screenshot them, like some really weird stuff. And I'm like, why would I need that?
like
Like,
Elizabeth Hurley swim line.
yeah, yeah, I probably should be getting that. I did see her on the Daily Mail the other day. I was going to send it to you. She was like out with her son. They were like out in London, and I was going to send it to
Yeah,
you. Be like, there she is. There she goes. Your girl.
yep, that's my dream girl. Go
That's
ahead.
your dream. Well, I want to talk a little bit about. I figure we could talk some about some holiday movies. I'm trying to broaden my holiday movies. Like I'm very set in my ways about what I want to watch on Christmas, like around the Christmas holiday, like the actual, you know, D-Day, like of Christmas, C-Day, if you will. And then Christmas Eve, like there's like Christmas Eve, I like to watch a particular version of A Christmas Carol with Alistair Sims because A Christmas Carol, you kind of like to watch it on Christmas Eve because that's when it's kind of set. It's set on
Right,
Christmas Eve. And the Alistair Sims version it's the English version from 1951. And it almost has a little bit of a spooky aura about it. It's almost it is ghostly in a sense, but it's really fun to watch on Christmas Eve. Sometimes I'll try to get maybe Christmas night, I'll watch It's a Wonderful Life, some of the classics. I try to watch like really within the confines of the week of Christmas. But in the meantime, I'm trying to watch some different things that I don't know all the words to, and just like, hey, whatever, let's just watch it. So I did watch Christmas with the Cranks. That was okay. I wouldn't say it was a great film. But it was
I've been
fun. It was a
thinking
little
about
bit
watching that
different.
one. I never saw it.
Yeah, yeah. It was, have you watched it?
No, I never saw it. But I was thinking about it recently because it had occurred to me like I like Tim Allen. I have always
Yeah.
enjoyed him. I love the Santa Claus, the original, which is on my list to watch this year. It's one of the movies I kind of have to watch. But no, I
Well,
never.
I was gonna add that too to my list because I feel like I always hated the Santa Claus. But now, since movies are so corrupt and abysmal, I might actually go back and be like, this is wholesome and this is a great
Yeah,
movie.
no, it is. It's
So,
it's it's good, wholesome, clean. Tim
okay.
Allen, PG fun. Um, I started. I actually just started my Christmas movie watching last night with of course Die Hard, the original Die Hard, which I consider to be a Christmas movie. There's Christmas music all throughout it. It takes place on Christmas. Um, Another good one that I wanted to mention earlier because you had mentioned Gary Busey, another great Christmas movie is and I stress Christmas movie, the original Lethal Weapon from
Hmm.
1987. Gary Busey plays the villain in that.
And
I
Mel
mean, the
Gibson,
movie.
two of my
Oh,
favorites.
the
Two of
movie
my
starts out with
favorites.
Jingle Bell Rock. I mean,
All
that's the
right.
intro to the. It's a total Christmas movie. I was also going to mention the Christmas Carol that I don't think I've ever seen this Alistair Sims version that you're referencing.
Oh, which one do you watch? Do you watch Lionel Barrymore
No, it's
or
the,
The
this one
Muppets?
it has Gonzo and Rizzo the Rat in it.
Yes.
Those are the main stars.
I have to be honest with you. If I'm ranking a Christmas Carol, it's Alistair Sims from 1951, and number two is The Muppets. The Muppets one is
Yeah,
excellent. It's so Michael Caine is great in it. And I have to
yeah.
say, I'm not like a super crazy musical person, but I kind of like the songs in it. I
Oh, it makes me
enjoy the
tear up
music.
every
Yes,
time. It makes me
yeah. And I
tear up.
mean, Kermit the Frog and Miss Piggy is the Cratchits. I mean, they kill it. Like it is so
Oh,
good. Yeah.
and
Gonzo is Charles Dickens. Yeah,
Michael
absolutely.
Caine said that too, that like he approached that movie that like as serious as could be. Like he approached it like he was working with classically trained actors in a theater
He was.
production somewhere, just total straight.
Yes,
He
yeah.
wasn't looking at it as a children's movie or Muppets. And that's what made it work. He should have won Best Actor at the Academy Awards for that
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah. I don't know what year that came out.
93, I think, or
93,
92.
93.
Either 92 or
Yeah.
93.
No, it's actually a really great version of A Christmas Carol. I think it's like it's my in my mind it's as if like children, hey, let's watch you can watch this version. Maybe you see your parents watching the other one. I mean, in my family, they probably would have been like, you're watching this. Because in my family, like my mom is like, It's a Wonderful Life. That's her movie. And my dad is the Alistair Sims Christmas Carol, which is actually they call it Scrooge. And yeah, so they're like to them that is like and Charlie Brown. It's like the Holy Trinity are those
Oh,
three
Charlie
movies
Brown.
to
Yeah,
them. Yeah, that's like the
I have a
Holy
lot to
Trinity to
watch.
them. But I would say number three on that list is Scrooged
With Bill
with
Murray.
Bill Murray. Yeah.
Never
So
saw
like
it.
that's that. Okay. Oh, you've never seen that?
No,
Oh, you're
I
in
have no
for a
reason
treat.
why.
You are no, you are in for a treat. You will love that. You will absolutely like I'm actually excited for you because you've never seen it. Like that's actually extreme. Like I'm like, man, what would it be like if I was 33 years old and I never saw Scrooge? Like I would have something so much like I would have no idea what there is I'm looking forward to. Yes, definitely watch Scrooge.
Okay.
I would say watch Alistair Sims, like the real deal like that. I will send it's on like YouTube. You can watch it on YouTube. It's like part of the public domain or something. So I could send it to you. But Scrooge is really good. So besides the Muppets, do you watch any other version of Christmas? Because I have like I know other people watch different versions and they also should be put in the gulag with the January 6th people forever.
What what is the
Look, I
was
see
the
you. I see you. It's not the original. There is like a 19. So Lionel Barrymore, who, yes, is like the grandfather of Drew Barrymore, the host of The
right?
Amazing Show with her the live TV show, or not live TV, but the daytime. I don't really know if it's a great show. I'm just joking, but
I always thought she was kind of hot, honestly, growing up. Like in like Charlie's Angels era, Drew Barrymore
she
was
is cute. Yeah.
like
I thought
a
she looked, yeah. Yeah. I thought she looked good in like 50 First Dates with Adam. So she had the really bright blonde hair. I think that really worked for her.
mhm.
So Lionel Barrymore used to do, who is also Mr. Potter in A Christmas Carol. He plays the villain. He was always on national radio. They would broadcast a television play of A Christmas Carol. So and he was his family were a bunch of actors from Philadelphia. And when they decided to make a film, when they they had Lionel Barrymore play Scrooge. So a lot of people, I think, if you're really digging back in the history, I would say that's probably the original that most people would reference. I don't know anybody that really watches it because people are fools. So they probably watch things like, I don't even know what they watch, something Disney puts out, something like that, besides Muppets. But yeah, so I don't know I think that would be the original because I think it's from the 1930s, but this version is from 1951. And I think that what I appreciated about it and what film lovers appreciate about it, like the great Robert Osborne would probably say, is that it is an English version. So it was a British film and it stars great legendary British actors and actresses. So that's, I think, what really is Alistair Sims plays the character so well also that I think like he is part of the charm of it. But all of the other actors are like stage uh, veterans from West End in England. So like I think that's why, because it's an English story, it's a Charles
It
Dickens
is.
story. So there's something not Hollywood about it. There's something so pure and English about it, those colonialist bastards. So yeah, I think that version is just really, really good. I'm trying to Hermione, I can't remember her
Hermione
last
Granger.
name. Not Hermione Granger from Harry Potter. Hermione, I can't remember her last name. She's in it as like one of the maids, the Cockney maids to Scrooge, and she was a huge veteran actress. She was in the movie Pygmalion, which would be later made as My Fair Lady. But she's in the original Pygmalion, and she was a great actress. So I think you'd really like that version. I think it's like I said, it's almost like I feel like when I was a kid, it would like scare me. It's a little
What's
creepy at some parts.
what's the best radio broadcast? Because I like to listen through to things through my old 1939 Zenith family radio.
Mm.
So if you could
Ah,
recommend a good radio version.
so that's fun too. I think probably, so when I was younger, and I don't really do this at my own home now because I'm probably just not as busy, but I used to help, like, really, I took it on, but like, I think I talked about last time, like, I would do a lot of the decorating and I would put the cookies out for Santa and bake cookies and put the presents all together
And the
under the
carrot for
tree.
the reindeer. I always used to
Yes,
leave the carrot for the
yes,
reindeer.
carrot for, yeah. We also had like this special like reindeer food my brother made from at school the one year,
It was
but
always gone too the next
it
morning.
was
The fucking
always
carrot was
gone. I don't know. But I would like do all that. So I'd kind of stay up, and you can't watch a movie when you're like busy. So I would listen to radio and AM radio, and they would do they took It's a Wonderful Life and they repurposed it with like additional narration that would play on AM radio stations. So I would not be surprised. I can't recall, but I would not be surprised if Lionel Barrymore's version is still simulcast to this day. I'm sure there's radio stations that still play it. We would get at night, like the big AM station out of Boston, and I think that's what I remember watching. I mean, listening to It's Christmas. I'm not was It's Wonderful Life. So yeah, I'm sure Lionel Barrymore's version is excellent, and I'm sure that's probably available. So radio
that's
theater is so good. Like, let's geek out
oh,
on that a little
it's
bit.
such a lost
Amazing.
art. And if you go
Such a
on
yes.
it's the Internet Archive. They have such a wealth of old radio shows for you to just stream for free on there. I mean, they're there forever. And I think that Lionel Barrymore. I think I was listening to that last year as I was doing some last minute rapping on Christmas morning as I was preparing some things to head over to my folks' house. Go ahead.
No, no, no. I was just gonna say you have me like really inspired to listen to some radio theater this Christmas. Like
It's the best.
I'm going to intentionally add that to like my preparation. Like you said, like when I'm rapping, I can just put on something. And like you said, like now you can just kind of pull it up and listen to it. So I years ago, we're kind of like down the wire, so we should probably wrap it up. But years
Okay.
ago, I got to be part of, there was a performance done at the Mock Chunk Opera House in Jim Thorpe
A
where,
great venue, by the way. I've seen many
yes,
shows there.
well, a local playwright, this great guy, he repurposed A Christmas Carol as a coal country Christmas carol.
Well, this
And
sounds awful,
Scrooge,
Karen.
yeah, no, it was so good. It was really, really well done. And he not cast, but he repurposed Scrooge as like a mine owner. And
Was Naturally Jim in it? Do you know who I'm talking
oh,
about?
no, who's naturally Jim?
Oh, we have to talk off air. You know who he
Oh,
is. You definitely know who he is. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
oh, okay. I think I knew who we're talking about,
You
but
know.
I think I do. Is he a little sarcastic?
No, this guy was like a staple. You'd see him. He was like this old hippie guy with a big Santa Claus beard, and he was always preaching the word of Jesus and telling everybody, "I love you." And
No, I've never met this guy.
natural. Oh, if you Google him, they'll probably
No,
there will be
probably.
hits. There will be hits. He was a legend in the coal region area, probably more centric to where I grew up in, but still
Okay.
a legend nonetheless. Who you would see, he would do magic tricks. He would always be like at the local what do you call festival,
Wow.
like doing magic tricks and talking about Jesus. And he was an interesting guy. I believe he's deceased now, though.
Aw, poor naturally Jim. Well, yeah, I never met him. Wow.
That surprises me,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah, that surprises me too. Like I used to volunteer there back in like high school at the Earth Day festival and all
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
So this is going
those are the
back
type of places
years.
he would show up, like the Earth Day Festival and the
And
Stay at
I
Home
can't believe I
Festival.
literally have been part of the Earth Day festival so many times and I never met this. My husband probably would be like, "Yeah, of course, you don't know him." Just like he told
You
me
would
when I
know.
didn't know there's a monster at the end of this book. Oh
A
wait,
great book.
we're gonna have to wrap things up because time just flew by. But I do want to
You're
add that
right.
my mom yelled at me for not, when I introduced the show last week, I did not give you a, like, I did not praise you or give you a nice adjective like you usually do for me. And she was like, you did not say anything about Colin when you introduced the show. She was like offended.
Tell
She
you
was like,
what,
he
your
always
mom
says,
always has my back. She's
he
always
does always.
there. We're
Yeah, she
always like on the
does.
same wavelength. You know,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. She was
I have
like,
such a
yeah.
kinship and a bond with this woman who I never met. I don't
I
know
know
what it
this
is.
should be your, yeah, she should be like your godmother. She is your godmother at this point,
Yeah.
I think, like in some weird telekinetic way, like she is. But she was like, you should have said something like, the curious Colin
The
or the,
ruggedly handsome Colin Miller, the
yeah,
manly.
the toxically masculine Colin.
Yes. Yes, that is how I want to be introduced from now on in the future whenever you do
Okay.
the intros,
Yes.
okay?
Yeah. Yeah. It should be like femcel Karen and toxically masculine Colin.
Right.
MAGA extremists.
Uh-huh. That
So there
sounds
you
more
go.
like it.
Former Bernie Sanders call rep.
Yeah, I was. I went to an event there and I phone banked my little heart out for this
Yeah.
spineless guy.
Well, that's probably why the feds haven't broken down your door yet. So it wasn't in vain. It
Because
was
they know
worth a
I have a
while.
little commie in me. They know that.
Yeah.
They
Yeah. They
know
know.
that they could probably work on me
Yeah.
to be a little lenient with the new system.
I remember like registering for the Barack. This is so crazy. Like, I just have to say this to wrap up the show. I remember registering for the Barack Obama email like email subscription just so that like maybe one day they'd be like, well, she subscribed to Obama's email, so she's probably good. Pass. We'll let that one go. We're not going to throw her in the
I
incinerator,
signed up to
So
volunteer for Obama when I
yeah,
was
yeah.
18. Yeah.
Wow, so idealistic.
Oh yeah, I was very
All
young
that
and
hope and
idealistic and
change. Yeah, yeah.
and
I
look where it got me.
Well, it
Oh.
got Obama a nice place at Martha's Vineyard, so good
Yeah,
job.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's
so
true. That's true. I'm
yeah.
happy for him. Well,
Well,
listen,
well,
I
listen.
think
Well,
it's time to wrap this up.
next week we are going to have a jam-packed Christmas extravaganza. Colin just smiled like I don't even know what we're signing up for, but we are, and we are going to come prepared, which never happens. And it's going to be a ton of fun. So make sure you get some kind of maybe hot chocolate, maybe horchata. I don't
I'm
know
gonna
what
do
you
that.
enjoy. Yes, I
Some
think we
eggnog.
both should. Oh, some eggnog. Yeah, that's a yeah, good one. Eggnog. So we're gonna get some nice maybe milk and cookies. I probably won't. I mean, we won't eat cookies because we don't eat while we're on the
Yeah, I don't want food to be coming
microphone.
out of my disgusting mouth as
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
talking
that's
about, like,
yeah. I
you
know
know,
someone who does that, but we're not going to do that. We
no,
hold
we're better
ourselves
than
to a
that.
higher standard. Yes, we are. So we will not have we will not eat cookies. I might bring like it's cookie making weekend next weekend, so maybe I'll display some of the cookies we made if I don't screw them up. So even if I do screw them up, I'll probably just be like, here's
Yeah,
the stuff I burnt. So
we'll have fun.
but yeah, so we will do that next week. Colored lights, Christmas cookies, twinkles, tinsel, stars, angels, whatever it is. Oh, holy night. It's coming to you next week. I'm going to have a little coffee
Dianetics.
drink.
By
Dianetics. Actually, the first edition Dianetics.
Oh, I want one for
Yes.
Christmas.
Yeah, some old guy gave me like all these old books, and I like just assumed because he was like 95, he was like a Christian. And then he started talking to me about like healing, that he was like a healer and started telling me all this
Oh,
weird stuff.
this guy's right up my alley.
I kid you not. I had books from him and I was like freaked out by the books. Like he gave me these books and I was like, I'm a little scared. Like I'm afraid of these books. Like I felt like I
Yeah.
brought some kind of weird spirit into my home.
Was
Like
there
I
like a
was
pentagram on one of them?
there wasn't a pen. It was more occult, It was more occult than overt.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we'll have to dive into that. But I actually, because the actual book is very aesthetically pleasing, I had it on my mantle next to like a lantern. I was like, if anybody comes in and actually looks at that, they're gonna be like, but most people have no idea what that is. So I get away with it. But next week, Christmas extravaganza, the re-education podcast. We have to teach you all about Christmas before the globalists come and reinvent Christmas, and there are no more holidays. All holidays will just be to celebrate Klaus Schwab. So before that happens, we are going to not celebrate Klaus Schwab. We are going to celebrate Santa Claus. Okay. So
That's
that's
right.
coming up. A lot to look forward to. And I'm sure we'll be texting about Taylor Swift all week long.
Oh, absolutely. That pretty much summarizes my entire life there, Karen. But what a fun episode today was. And let's just put a neat little bow on it and say that we'll see you right here next week for the special jam-packed, super fun Christmas edition of Re-Education Camp. So have a good week, everyone, and we'll see you then.